All right, crew. Today we're going to be talking about the dual entry form. This is the document that we use to put all the information in that's going to go into both of the MLS systems, the Georgia MLS and the FMLS. That's the reason this is called a dual entry form. So we're filling out one document, but it's going into two different places. Okay, and we're going to go through the document today, make sure you guys know what's there, and there's a lot of detail in this, so we're going to spend quite a bit of time going through looking exactly what's in there, and then after we've done the form, we're going to talk about where do you use it, how do you actually apply it, what are some pro tips to making sure that we get it right. And that'll make more sense as we look through the form once you guys have gotten accustomed to it. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the screen. This is the correct form. Now, we used to use a different service. So if your form looks different than this, you're probably looking at the Bridge dual entry form. We use the Swift dual entry forms. So if yours does not look like this, wrong form. Where you can go and find this form, if you're in the coaching program, it's in the coaching resource folder and with all the required office documents. Tried to make that really easy for you to find. If you're not in the coaching program, get with the agent services, get with the market center. That they have this someplace for you guys. I just don't know what that is. So a couple of things you're going to notice. First things first, FMLS, residential, Georgia MLS, single family, detached, dual entry form. Okay, this is the two places it's going, and this is the form we're using, the detached dual entry form. What that should tell you is that there's a different form for attached. There's a different form for land and lot. There's a different form for land and acreage. There's a different form for leasing. So make sure that you've got the right form. We're going to go through the detached one today because it's the one that you're going to use most often. And every one of those forms follows the same basic format. But what you're going to find is that each one of them has some different information on it. If you're looking at a land and lot, you're not going to have beds and bathrooms. So that question's not going to be on there. All right. Up here in the top right, you're not going to fill this in, FMLS number, Georgia MLS number, because the system's going to give them those numbers when this gets inputted, and it's not in the system yet. This is the information that's going in, so we don't need that. We pick up right here under status. So are we going to be initially listing this property as an active property or a coming soon property? Okay, and there's two different dates I want you guys to pay attention to. So we're going to skip ahead here. We have our on market date, and then down here we have our list date. Okay, so this one down here is when does it get listed? When does it get put in the MLS? Okay, so if we're going in and it's going to be active on Friday, and we don't want it listed until Friday, both the list date and the on market date are going to be Friday. Okay, but if we are going to be putting it in the system on Friday, listing it here, and we're not going to be going active, we're going to be going coming soon, well, our on market date is actually going to be up to 21 days later. Okay, so we're listing it at the bottom date, going on the market at the top date, and then we get into all the details about the property. The first couple of pages, most of this you're going to figure out and fill out sitting at your computer, not at the property. We're going to fill out our house number. So this is 123, our street name, Main, and street type, street, road, park, lane. So 123 Main Street. And then we have our Georgia MLS street name. This is going to be Main Street. So 123 Main Street, Main Street. Okay. And you're already seeing some differences between the different blanks. Some of them have asterisks, some do not. Throughout this whole document, if it has an asterisk, something has to be filled in there. Okay. And that will make a lot of sense here in a minute. So we have our street, Snellville, our city, Snellville, our state, Georgia, our zip code, 30278, our county, Gwinnett, and then we get to our FMLS area and our Georgia MLS area. I want to go ahead and pull up our FMLS over here so you guys know where to find this information, because it is not intuitive. Over here under support, we have our area maps and we have our FMLS area zone maps. This is where we're going to find our area numbers. Now, the convenient thing is Georgia MLS and FMLS have the same area numbers. These are a throwback to the old map books that we used to have for properties. But we're able to zoom in wherever we want to or need to. So if we were trying to find for the office what our number was, it would be 65 here at the office. Okay. I like the map on FMLS better. There is one on Georgia MLS as well, but it only has the highways and not all of the secondary roads. So it is a lot harder to figure out, is the property in this area or this area. So I recommend you come to FMLS in order to identify that. So now that you know how to figure out the area, that would be 65, 65, because they are the same. And then what's the subdivision? Okay. And I encourage you, from your tax records, that's where you want to find what subdivision it's in. And if you don't remember how to access the tax records, again, I'm going to take you to Paragon, but you can also go to Realist to find the same information. So let's just go pick a property that, we'll just pick one that was newly listed. So if I were to look up a property and go to the tax record, I can do it from a past listing, or if it was not listed in the past, I can go to CRS Tax Suite. I can go look for 1061. What was that property? Chartley. And as I start typing it in, it's going to bring up the option, and I'm at exactly the same place. Whether I went to it through an old listing or I went through it through the search, got me to the same place. Okay. Now the piece of information that we were looking for is what's the neighborhood or the subdivision, and you'll see right here, Clearview. So back on my document, I would put in Clearview subdivision. But what if it's not in a subdivision? It has an asterisk. We still have to put something in there. So put none, N-O-N-E, for our subdivision. We then have our FMLS and our Georgia MLS tax ID number. And guys, understand there's a lot of information you're going to have to duplicate as we move through this form. And it's because the two systems receive the information differently. And so the way the bridge system is set up and the SWIFT system, that information gets sent differently, even though it's the same bits of information. So I know it's frustrating, but it's a necessary requirement. So let's go back to our tax record, and you'll see right here, here's our tax ID number. So that's what's going to go in that blank right there, and again right here. Then we get down to our land lot, district, section, lot, block, plat book, and plat page. You see unit doesn't have an asterisk, so I don't have to fill that in. So let's go back to my taxes, and I'm going to go down to my legal description, and you're going to see I have a block and a lot. Don't have a plat book and page. I do have a district. Okay. So on my form, I can put in the block. I can put in the lot. I can put in the district. But for my land lot, my section, my plat book and plat page, they all have an asterisk. Still have to put something in there. So put 0. Okay. Next, we get to our school systems. And what I want you guys to do and encourage you to do is whatever county your property is in, whatever school system it's in, go to that county's website. Every county has a school locator where once you find it, and every county has a different website, they all call it something different. So you're going to have to do a little bit of sleuthing to find it. But once you do, go look up that address and find out what's the elementary school, what's the middle school, what's the high school. And something for you to know, we know that because we're putting something in the high school, it's a high school. So you don't need to tell me Parkview HS or Parkview High. We know it's a high school. So this is just Parkview, Brookwood. Okay. Now, I encourage you to also look. There is no asterisk, does not have to be checked, but I encourage you to do it. Go look at the bus locator and confirm that the property is on the bus line and mark those check boxes if it is on the bus line. Okay. And then, is the property on a lake? Okay. So the majority of homes, it's going to be none. N-O-N-E. All right. Then part 2, what's our list price? Okay. 249,000. Okay. Put the whole value in there, all the zeros. And for us, it's always going to be exclusive agency. We don't list properties unless it's an exclusive seller listing agreement or exclusive seller brokerage agreement. They are hiring us as a client. We have agency. We've got an agency relationship. So exclusive agency is what we're always going to check here. Then we have our list date. This is when is the property going into the system. Okay, that's going to be the same thing as the marketing commencement date on your exclusive seller brokerage agreement. Okay. Then we have our FMLS expiration date and our Georgia MLS expiration date. Those 2 dates are going to be that last number, that last date on the exclusive seller brokerage agreement. That when does your listing agreement end? Okay. Then we're going to have our FMLS commission and our Georgia MLS commission. So what is the commission that your seller is agreed that you're going to offer to the agent on the other side of the transaction? Okay. This isn't the total commission, okay, that they're paying. This is what are we offering? Because this is our marketing to other real estate agents. So are we offering 3%? Are we offering 2.5%? Or something different? Okay. We do not offer variable rate commission, so you're not going to ever have to check that. Georgia MLS commission type, is this a flat rate commission or is this a percentage? So hopefully this is going to say 3 and this is going to be percentage. Then we get down to our owner name. Now here under owner name, I don't want you to put the owner name and I don't want you to put the owner phone number. Okay. There is no reason for the listing agent or anyone looking at the MLS to ever contact your owner. If they need to get a message to your owner, if they want to talk to your owner, who should they be calling? They should be calling you. So instead, put call agent in here and put your phone number. Okay, so they're calling you. Or leave it blank. There's no asterisk, so it doesn't have to be filled in, but it's just another opportunity for me to put my phone number in there. Over here, we have our FMLS listing agent ID and our Georgia MLS listing ID. Okay, this is not your license number. Okay, this is not your NERDS number. This is your login for Georgia MLS and FMLS. What is your username? Okay, it's probably something to do with your last name and a couple of initials. Okay, maybe your full last name and full first name. Some of our usernames are longer than we have blanks for. That's okay. Fill in as much of it as you can, starting at the beginning. Okay. If you're listing the property with another agent, so y'all are co-listing, you're teamed up to do it. The second line is where your co-listing agent, or listing agent number 2, this is where their username goes in. Then we've got a few check boxes below this. Is it okay for the other agent to present offers directly to the owner? Okay, and the clue here is that it's right below the owner's name and phone number. So here's the owner's name, here's the phone number. Is it okay to present offers directly to them? Don't want you checking that box, right? All offers should be coming to you. Is it okay for the system to put together an automatic slideshow from the pictures you gave it? Sure, love that. No problem with that. Okay. Is it okay for the system to show online the property, or can it only be seen on the MLS? Is it okay for it to share that with other websites? You know, do you want your listing being marketed? Yes, check the box. Allow the address to be displayed? Probably so. Check the box. Allow comments or reviews. So on your listing, do you want prospective buyers or the general public to be able to leave comments about your property? I don't think so. I don't trust people on the internet and don't want those trolls leaving comments about my property. Okay. As well as I don't want to allow the system to put up an estimate of value. I want to control the messaging around the property. And if I've got a property listed for $250,000, I don't want some computer system saying that the property's estimated value is $230,000. So I'm never going to check that box either. Okay. So just the slideshow, the internet display, and the address display. And that finishes the first of 8 pages. How are we doing so far? So hopefully good. All right. You will notice we've got asterisks right here. That tells us that everything here needs to be filled in. So if we've got a 3-2 ranch, we're going to right here on the main floor, we're going to have 3 bedrooms. We're going to have 2 full baths. In every other box, I'm going to put a 0 in it. Every box has to have a number. Okay. And you guys can decide, is it lower and upper? Is it main and upper? Is it main and lower? Just use your common sense. With split level ranches and split foyers and 2-story homes, there's so many different variables that where bedrooms and baths may be. You may find some properties it makes more sense for it to be the main floor. For some properties, it makes sense to be the lower and the upper floor. Use your discretion there. What year was the property built? Got to put it in. We've got an asterisk. What's the condition? And you'll see this is here in kind of 2 different places. We have an asterisk here and an asterisk here. So for a lot of these, it's going to be resale and resale. But this is also where we could flag this as a fixer-upper, or the property has been updated. Okay, we only get to check 1 box though. Okay, over here we get to check 1 box. This one is going to be a little more obvious, just resale. Most sellers are not going to have the builder information, so we're not going to fill that in, nor the number of units. Lot dimensions. Now, in Georgia, our lots tend to be awkward shapes. We don't have nice rectangles and squares with our mountains. We wind up with triangles and weird trapezoids and things like that. So it's really difficult to say that our lot is X number of feet by X number of feet. That's the reason we use meets and bounds. So what I do here is I just duplicate whatever I've put here in the acreage. So this is 0.38 acres. Okay, I'm going to put 0.38 down here for acreage, and under lot dimensions, because I have to put something in here because it has an asterisk, I'm going to put 0.38, and then I'm going to write out acres. Okay. How many fireplaces? Does not have an asterisk. I don't have to include it. But is a fireplace something that prospective buyers want to know about? I say yes. So go ahead and put that in there, even though it's not required. Okay. If the property is being marketed with a warranty, go ahead and mark that a warranty is included. This, by not marking it, it does not mean you won't offer one. It means that it's going to need to be negotiated on the contract. If you mark that it comes with a warranty, your must supply the warranty. Okay. So understand what their desires are and have those appropriate conversations. Here in the middle, it's marked, is HERS available? HERS is a rating system for energy efficiency. And here in Georgia, I've never met anybody that has known what their HERS rating is. In certain states, that's very common, not here. So even though it has an asterisk, that's telling you that if the HERS is available, we have to check it. We assume it's not available, so we're not going to check it. We're not going to put anything in the index. What type of ownership is it? And the majority of the time, it's going to be fee simple. That's your normal ownership of a property. Okay. Your second most common one is going to be a condominium. Okay. I've never run across a property yet that was leased land, but if you did, that's what you would mark there. Okay. I already told you we're going to put the 0.3 acres over here, or 0.5 or 2.6, whatever that acreage is. Where did that information come from? We have to disclose that. And typically that's going to be public records. We're going to mark that right here. And then we have our Georgia MLS acreage source. That's typically going to be coming from public records. But every once in a while, it may come from an appraiser. We may get our information off of that. It may come from the owner, or we may have gone out and taken our own measurements. So just check the appropriate box. Then Georgia MLS and FMLS treat square footage very differently. Okay. FMLS wants to know what is the total living space. Okay. What is our finished conditioned space altogether? Okay. And we're going to put that square footage in here. Georgia MLS breaks it down. They want to know how much finished space do we have above grade. Okay. Meaning that floor of the house, none of it is underground. Okay, there is no basement. So we're going to put our above grade square footage in, and then we break up our below grade square footage. And we're going to put our below grade unfinished and our below grade finished. Okay, and you will see there is no asterisk here that we have to fill this in. The system will let us get away with not putting it in. But so many people search by square footage. I encourage you guys to put it in here. And don't ever be tempted to put 0. If you don't know, go find it out. Okay. I consider that part of my job. All right. And then we want to know what's our square foot source. So it's either coming from an appraisal, it's coming from tax records. Over here, it's coming from an appraisal, coming from public records. Those are going to be your most common spaces. Don't have to fill in carport spaces, garage spaces, or parking spaces, but If it has a garage, I'm typically going to mark, is it a 1-car or 2-car garage in here? And then I need to put in the tax information. And you'll see that's required, okay? So again, really easy way to find that. Go back to our tax records, right? Our MLS tax search. We can scroll down till we get to our taxes. And we see here in the tax year of 2019, the total taxes were $21.48. So I'm going to come back to my form. And in 2019, my taxes were $2,048. Makes that really simple. Okay. Then we get to our HOA information. And I encourage you guys, if the property's in an HOA, get the community association disclosure from the seller and just move the information over here to this page. Okay. We do have to fill in whether there is a master association fee. Okay. So that's where we have our normal neighborhood association, and then we have the bigger association with the resort style pool and all the amenities for a collection of neighborhoods. Okay. We don't see this a lot in Georgia, but it is here. So normally this is going to be $0 per year. Okay. And then down here, we're going to have whatever our regular HOA association fee is. Okay. It's going to be $600 per year, $600. All right. A couple other things that we need to pay attention to here. Are there any rent restrictions? Okay. Meaning that there's a limit on the number of properties that can be rented out. You should know that from your community association disclosure. Okay. If you know there's an assessment due, mark that. And owner financing, owner second, and assumable, hopefully you will never have to deal with those. Okay. In Georgia, we're not going to have assumable loans. That's not going to be an option. But hopefully you're not dealing with owner financing or an owner second. So please don't even offer those as an option. A couple other things to check in here. Is this community association, is it optional or is it required? Okay. And is there a separate fee for swim tennis? So even in some HOA neighborhoods, you have to belong to the HOA, but you don't have access to the swim and tennis, or there's strictly a voluntary swim and tennis community that's optional, and we would put our fee in here. Then we're going to have who's the management company, their email, their phone number, and the contact phone. That's so that the prospective buyer can call and verify that information themselves. And they may even want to do that before they submit an offer or get the community association disclosure from you. Then we get down to our private remarks, okay, and our public remarks. And it's going to start with FMLS public remarks, and you have both of these spaces that you can work with. Okay, there's 1,775 characters here, and Georgia MLS has 768 characters. So we can make it a little longer if we want to, but most people are going to stay within that minimum number, the 768, and put the same thing in both of them. Okay, but we need to put it in here in each of them. And something for you guys to think about when you're designing your public remarks. Remember, this is how we're selling the property. This is part of our marketing. And a couple of things that frustrate me in descriptions that I see is it just becomes a checklist of the obvious. Okay, this cute 4-bedroom, 2-bath home is a 2-story home. It has white appliances. It's got a deck in the backyard. There are 3 bedrooms upstairs. There's a double vanity and a separate shower and bathtub. They name off a checklist. Okay. Well, I already have all that other information, both in my descriptions that you'll see on my check boxes that I fill out. I've got it in the parts that we've already filled out ahead of time. And I see all of that in the pictures. Okay. You're not helping sell the property. Put that in the public remarks. The thing to keep in mind is people typically are going to start with your pictures. And if they find the pictures interesting, then they're going to go to the public remarks. And if the public remarks don't tell them anything different than what's in the pictures, it didn't help sell your property at all. So the thing that I would encourage you guys to do is find a way in your public remarks that you connect with people emotionally. Okay. Talk about the things that aren't obvious in the pictures, and talk about what it would feel like to live in the house. So some of the things that wouldn't be obvious in the pictures, the roof is only 2 years old. Okay. New paint, new carpet. Okay. Would you know that from the pictures? No, that's helpful. I love that. Okay. Talk about how close it is to the park. Talk about the neighborhood amenities if you didn't put pictures of the neighborhood amenities in there. Okay. But then also talk about what it feels like to live in that house. You know, open floor plan with lots of light. Now you start getting into emotion. You know, could be a great house for entertaining. You're going to love the massive back deck, perfect place for a barbecue. Now you're connecting with emotion because you're painting a picture of what it's like to live at that house. Okay. You're going to enjoy your restful evening sitting on the front porch in your rocking chair with your favorite adult beverage. Okay. Get creative. You'll know when you read a good public description. Okay. So after we've got our public remarks in here, we then have our private remarks. Now, the public remarks get pushed out to everyone that even as we push this out to Zillow and to Realtor.com, those public remarks are going to appear everywhere. Your private remarks only appear to other real estate agents. These only show up in the MLS system. So this is where you're going to put special showing instructions. Okay. This is where you could put gate codes, alarm codes, anything that you would want that agent to know that you wouldn't necessarily want to tell the general public. Okay. So that's going to be repeated under FMLS private remarks and under Georgia MLS private remarks. And right before that, the ability to receive offers. Do conditions exist or do no conditions exist? And that conditions exist, we can give a description here in the private remarks. You should know this from your listing agreement. This is those properties that it's potentially a short sale, it's part of a divorce, and the court's going to have to approve it. The seller does not have title yet, but they will before we get to the closing table. Those are all things that would want to disclose in private remarks. Okay. You're probably never going to fill out and use Georgia MLS office remarks. So this is only available in Georgia MLS, but the only people that can see the remarks in the Georgia MLS office remarks are agents that belong to your same office. Okay. But then we have our FMLS and Georgia MLS directions. And what I generally like to do in here is I say Google and GPS work great for this property. Okay. But if I'm going to put that in there, I need to know and have tested that Georgia MLS or Google and GPS do work great for that property, because there are still some properties out there that the directions get mucked up when you try and do them digitally. And in that case, give the directions from the nearest main intersection. Okay. You're going to head east on this road until you get to here. We're going to turn right, take the third left, whatever detail it would take to get somebody to that property. And then we get into our checklist. Okay. And guys, I want you to see, we have pages of these checklists. Okay. And the same rules apply. If there is an asterisk on this block, we have to have an answer in here. So here, association fee includes, I don't have to have an answer. All of these, I have to have an answer in here. So are there any special listing conditions? Okay. Is it in foreclosure? Is this an auction? Is it owned by the bank? Or is it none of those? Okay. A lot of times it's going to be none. Special circumstances. Okay. Is this in a 55 and up community? Is this owned by an estate? Is this owned by an investor? You will see we can check up to 4 different options in this. So don't just think check one and I'm done. Take a look and make sure that everything that's applicable gets checked. Okay. And most of these blocks are things that I'm going to want to fill out while I'm at the property. Okay. You went and visited the property. You had your listing appointment. You got your exclusive listing agreement signed. You come back to your office 3 hours later. You sit down to fill out this form. Okay. Are you going to remember whether there was a double vanity or not? Or was it a separate, was it a tub and shower combo? Or was it a separate tub and shower? I don't remember. And once I've looked at 500 houses, they all kind of become a blur. So this is a checklist that I need to fill out while I'm walking through the property. Okay. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. So what are the bedroom features? Is there a master on the main? Is it a roommate plan, a split bedroom plan? Master bath features, double vanities, separate tub and showers. Those would be desirable. Under kitchen features, we can check up to 10. Okay. Pick the ones that are applicable. In the dining room, the laundry features, additional rooms, basement description, all of these have to have something checked. Okay, and we're going to continue through these, but there's a few I want to bring to your attention that you might not realize. When it comes to cooling, you're probably not going to know if it's a heat pump or not. Okay, but you do know it's central, so just mark central air. Okay. Cooling is always going to be electric. You don't really have gas cooling or solar cooling around here, so it's all going to be electric, but your heating could be gas or could be electric. You need to go look. Okay. Make sure when it comes to utilities that you've talked with the seller and you know what they have and what's available. Okay. For electric, for those that don't know, 110 volts is the normal service. Okay. 220 is what your stove and your dryer typically are going to plug up to that have that higher voltage. Fireplace features, security features, other equipment. We're going to keep working our way through this. Do we have any common walls? If it's a single family detached, we should not have any common walls. A lot of agents don't know what a 1.5 story is. Okay, they know what a 1 story, they know what a 2 story is. A 1.5 is a ranch with that bonus room over the garage. Okay, that's considered a 1.5. Okay, and pay attention to some of these little extra things because sometimes you have some options that are only on Georgia MLS. Okay. Construction for roof type, your typical shingles are going to be composition and shingle. Okay, that's what they're regarded as. Okay. Fencing, lot, exterior, pool features, parking. Perfect. Here we go. One of the things that you're going to notice, you get down here to water and sewer. Okay. When you guys are having your client sign their documents, okay, and we'll talk about when they sign this, do not forget we require these 2 blocks to be initialed, okay, in addition to signing the whole description because we want to draw extra attention to this. So guys, this is so important to the broker. It becomes such a common issue that we make the seller tell us on the seller's property disclosure, whether it's on public or private water, whether it's on sewer or septic, We make them sign a water and sewer disclosure form, a separate document that says whether it's on public or private water, whether it's on sewer or septic, and we make them initial here, whether it's on public or private water, whether it's on sewer or septic. Do you guys get the hint that this is a big deal? Okay, so remember to get this initial, because compliance will spit this back to you and won't put your listing up if you don't have those initials. For road frontage type, I typically choose other, okay, because I'm not on a state road, I'm not on a highway, I'm not on an easement, so but I am on a road, so other works for me. Road surface type typically is going to be asphalt. Other structures, course amenities, waterfront features, water on land, these are all required. Community features, and then we get down to our showing instructions. We can pick up the 5 different things that are here, okay? So if we want appointment only, if we want to use showing time, property is vacant, if we want to put a time restriction on it, if we want them to make an appointment with us first, all of those are perfectly normal. Lockbox GAMLS compatible, that's your super lockbox, okay? You're also going to mark super over here. And I strongly encourage you guys, you're going to see that there's non-compatible Georgia MLS lockbox and there's other that are here. I want you guys to always use super lockboxes. You're creating a liability for yourself and for your client if you use any other lockbox. If it's a coded lockbox that they just put a code in, other agents may share that code. Okay, they're not supposed to, they shouldn't, but once somebody knows that code, you no longer have any control over who has that. Okay, but I'm telling you this too, so as you guys look at listings and you see that somebody has marked that it's a non-compatible GAMLS lockbox, that tells you that your super key is not going to open it up. You're going to need to call and talk to that real estate agent before you go see that property. Okay. Pick the right lot size. Broker will provide photo. Our possession date. Typically, we're looking for at closing, but if your client's looking for something else, mark that. And then possible financing. You don't have to fill this in, but this can be really helpful to prospective buyers and really for their agents, for them to understand what works for this property. Okay, and the 4 big ones are going to be cash, conventional, FHA, and VA. Okay, those most properties, those 4 are going to work. Okay, now this 100% financing, that's what you would mark for USDA if it happens to be in a USDA approved area. Okay, one of the things that we need to make sure about before you go and march FHA is that the owners own the property for at least 91 days. Okay, and then we can accept FHA. The other thing for you to realize is for FHA and VA, if the property has any major issues, okay, we've got a hole in the roof, we're missing appliances, there's broken windows, FHA and VA are not going to underwrite that loan unless those things get fixed. So if your seller's not intending to make those repairs, don't put those up as an option. Only make it cash and conventional. Okay. And if you filmed a virtual tour, you can put that URL in here. Okay. And then your client signs here at the end of the page. And that's our form, guys. That's a lot, right? Okay. A lot of details. So let's talk about how this gets used in the practical world. I go out to my listing appointment and I've taken all my documents and everything with me. I sit down, I make my presentation. They're impressed. They want to hire you. We're going to go ahead and we're going to fill out the listing agreement and we're going to get that signed. We're going to get our lead-based paint disclosure, our seller property disclosure, our community association disclosure, if applicable. I'm going to get all those signed. I'm going to get my broker required forms, like my wire fraud form and my water sewer disclosure signed. But we're not going to sign this at the appointment. And let me tell you the main reason why. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to sit down at the kitchen table and write a really articulate 1,800 character description of the property. And I'm probably not bringing my laptop along for me to do the research I need to know the tax ID number, for me to know the area. So a lot of this information I'm not going to know there. But here's what I do want to do while I'm there. So while they're working on finishing up their seller's property disclosure, I'm going to go ahead and take a tour back through the property. And I'm going to gather all the information that I need to go into the MLS system. And I'm going to bypass this first page. I'm going to go over here to the second page. I'm going to make sure I've got my bedrooms and know where those are located. I'm going to come down here to my check boxes. And I'm going to walk through that property and I'm going to go box by box. And I'm going to make sure that I mark the correct information. And I am just putting pen to paper, okay? This is a practice sheet for me. This is a scratch sheet. This is a place for me to take my notes, okay? I'm not intending to get this signed at the appointment. They've hired me. They signed the listing agreement. They want to work with me. They're not going anywhere, okay? I've gathered my information together. I go back to my office. I pull this form up, and I'm going to go back through and I'm going to mark all my check boxes. I'm going to fill in all my information up here, okay? And then I'm going to save this PDF, okay? I'm going to load the PDF that's all filled out now into my e-signature program. I use DocuSign. You may use something different, but I'm going to load my PDF in a DocuSign. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to assign my owner's initials to the 2 fields for water and sewer right here. I'm going to add their initials here. I'm going to add their signature here at the bottom. And I'm going to send that off to them for them to sign. Okay. Now, when writing my description, I don't write my description on this page. I'm going to open up a Word document or a Google Doc, and I'm going to write it there. Okay. And one of the reasons is it makes it really easy for me to move sentences around, rearrange things. I don't have that same capacity here in these PDF fields. So I want to go edit it where it's really easy for me to edit it. And those tools have built-in character counters. Okay. So Word will tell me how long my paragraph is, how many characters I have. So I make sure I don't exceed it. And what I encourage you guys to do is when you sit down to write your description, don't pay attention to the characters. Sit down and write the description you want to write. Then check your characters. And then if you're less than the 768 characters, run with it. We're good to go. Nothing to worry about. But your description is longer than the 768 characters. Now we get to start editing it down, okay? And take away, abbreviate. Look where you've got longer words. Try and use synonyms and shorten it up. Abbreviations where you need to, okay? And get yourself down under that 768 characters. And then I want you to save that Word document, okay? We're going to copy and paste everything over here onto the form, but we're going to save that Word document. And the reason we're going to save that Word document is, at least in our office, Miss Ann puts our listings in our system for us. And if we just send her the description on that form, when you send it to her, doesn't allow her to copy and paste. Okay, we want to make Miss Ann's job as easy as possible. It's a courtesy, it's a service that we provide you guys, that we put your listings in for you. Okay, so we want to make it as easy for Miss Ann as possible. So when we send that document to her to create your listing, we're either going to send that copy in the body of an email or attached as a Word document. Okay, then she can just copy the whole paragraph, hit paste, drop it right into the software, and that listing goes very quick. And when you do that, your listing goes to the top of the pile for her to put in. Okay, but regardless whether you're at the top of the pile or not, you get your listing in by 12 o'clock. She's going to get it up the same day. If it's after 12 o'clock, it's going to go up the next day. Okay, so what Miss Ann needs, we've left our appointment now. Okay, all of the documents we sign, the seller's property disclosure, community association disclosure, all of that needs to go into command. Okay, the dual entry form needs to go in command, listing agreement needs to go in command, but we want to email Miss Ann the listing agreement that says yes, they hired us, the dual entry form that says here's what's going into the MLS, and we want to send her our Google Doc or put our copy in the body of the email. That's all she needs to put the listing up. Okay, she'll create that listing for you. She'll send you notifications. She'll send you something that tells you here's what your listing numbers are. You then will go back and add your pictures. Okay, so when it first goes up, it'll say just broker provided photo, as a little no photo emblem that's there. But then you have the opportunity to go in and upload your photos, upload your seller's property disclosure, community association disclosure, lead-based paint disclosure for prospective buyers. She doesn't do that part for you, but she does the hard part of getting the listing created. All right. So guys, that's the form. I want to show you, for those that are in the coaching program, I share my screen again. If you need a refresher on this, you want more details, I also have the cheat sheet in the coaching resource folder under your cheat sheets that walks you through this and shows you exactly what goes in every spot, gives you all the same instructions we just went over, just does it in a print format for you. So you can see really quickly what's required and what's optional. Okay. So hopefully that's a big help for you. If you've got any other questions, call me, text me, email me, and we'll see you very soon. Bye.